Hey, I wanted to play this clip for you from tastytrade and also provide you with my feedback and my commentary. I'm going to play it at 2x speed so that way it's more efficient because it's relatively long. It's about a 2 minute and 34-second clip.
But what do you say? Boom, boom, boom. Great. Let's go to the next slide. I know every year will be different, but what do you say? But what would you say a good percentage return for 2021 was using the tastytrade methods? I mean, how much risk are you taking? I mean, I hate. I mean, you got to put this into context. Like, is a $10,000 account using $10,000, a $100,000 account using $10,000, acting like $100,000? It's kind of hard to say. I mean, the amount of risk that we take. I mean, I don't know. Throw out a number. 1 to 1.5% a month is doable.
All right, so my thoughts here, and I'll play the rest of the clip later, is they seem extremely uncomfortable talking about returns. But the fact of the matter is that we don't invest time. If you're watching this, you're an adult. We don't invest time just to learn something and just have it be educational. All right. The reason why we're trading is because we want to make money. We want to focus on returns. We want to make sure that we beat the market. So to educate ourselves, to spend a lot of time, to invest a lot of time and effort into just learning theory, but not actually applying it and have it work out so that we beat the market and that we achieve alpha is something that is just simply not acceptable. And additionally, I don't know why they're completely uncomfortable talking about returns. I mean, the reason why you're going to watch tastytrade, the reason why you're going to sell options is because you want to make sure that you can beat the market. And if you're only going to earn 1% or 1.5% a month, then you really shouldn't be trading options at all. If that's going to be your return, then the best strategy that you can possibly have would be to simply go long the SPY and sell covered calls against it. There is no reason for you to spend the time, spend the energy selling options if you are only going to earn 1 to 1.5% a month. And it really baffles my mind why tastytrade, both Tom and Tony, are so uncomfortable talking about the returns that their system teaches. The reason why they only earn around 1 to 1.5% a month are primarily for two or three reasons. The first is that they trade way too often and they don't really discriminate about their entries to try to maximize the amount of premium that they collect. Secondarily, they keep short delta, and especially considering that I think over like the past 40 years, there's only been 9 down years in the stock market. So when you have that drag by being constantly short delta, it's going to act like an anchor and it's going to eat up a substantial amount of the premium that you actually sold, because you're going to take losses on those short calls. And or if you're using futures to get some static short delta, then you're also going to be taking losses on those futures. So keeping short delta, in my opinion, is, especially during a bull market, is a really bad strategy. Now, I sell calls as well on stocks that I believe are overextended, but it seems like Tom and Tony, they keep perpetual short delta, and I think that is a drastic mistake. So selling calls and then also being indiscriminate and selling like way too many options. Um, yeah, I think that those are the two primary reasons. And then I had a third reason, but for some reason I can't remember it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So selling way too often. Selling just like having too many trades on. But then also I think that tastytrade does a pretty bad job, not really looking at the recent trading ranges of the stocks that they're selling, and instead they rely too heavily on IVR and IV. And yeah, I do understand that when IVR is high, then that usually means that a stock pulls back. But I definitely think that it's better to look at the recent trading range of the stock and then sell an out of the money put. Because from our perspective, I mean, we target a return of about 3 to 3.5% a month. So we're pretty much tripling the returns of tastytrade. So for them to be uncomfortable talking about returns, that makes me very suspect of their overall trading methodology. But, look, at the same time, they are selling premium, which inherently comes with a positive expectancy. But yeah, it's a little bit baffling to me that they feel so uncomfortable and then they're telling you that they're only going to earn like 1 to 1.5%. And I think that later on in the clip, Tom kind of like walks it back and he increases the return because, hey, look, if you're only making 1 to 1.5% a month, you should just buy the SPY and sell covered calls against it, because you're going to see those returns with significantly less investment in your time and also significantly less risk. But here, let's play the rest of the clip.
I mean, I don't say it's a home run, but it's doable. First of all, like we put this question in because even though we don't like to discuss returns because I don't think they.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't discuss in returns. It doesn't make sense to me. The entire reason why people trade and the entire reason why we invest is because we want to optimize our returns. So it doesn't make sense to me why they don't want to talk about returns.
Did they mean much? Because like somebody wrote me this morning and said I was up 50% in the first half of the year and the second half of the year I lost 50%. I finished the year up small. Like, what does that mean? Somebody else wrote.
Okay, yes, Tom. We definitely understand that there is portfolio volatility and that experienced options traders, their best bet is to try to mitigate that portfolio volatility. We definitely understand that. If someone's up 50% over the first half of 2021, then that means that their targeted returns are significantly higher. And it's just a matter of time until they either blow up their account or experience significant volatility. But for experienced options traders, who target a return of about 3% a month, there's no way they're going to be up 50% in just 6 months of trading. So, in my opinion, using that example to then defend yourself as to why you don't want to discuss returns, that doesn't make any sense. We all know that when the longer time you spend selling options, the more experience you get, the more you value a decrease in overall portfolio volatility. And my point is that you can experience decreased portfolio volatility while still targeting a return and averaging a return of about 3 to 3.5% a month.
So start the year off down, finish the year up 28%. The answer is we give you the opportunity to create as big a return as you'd like relative to the risk you're taking. What's a good percentage return? I would say, like if you wanted a crazy target before the year starts, we try to, grind out at least some multiple of risk-free returns. Usually we'd say some multiple of like passive returns, but this year passive returns were 30% last year. So saying that there's some multiple of that, usually we'd like 3 or 4 times passive returns. They average about 6.5%. So you're aiming for somewhere between 18 and 35. But last year made it, good to be 1-to-1 if you're lucky. But I don't know, 1.5 to 3% a month, something like that. I mean, you want to get some multiple higher than risk-free returns. So it's got to be something pretty interesting. That's all. There's no good answer.
Yeah, I do agree with Tom that last year when the market was up around 30%, that's not something that's going to be replicable. And obviously, I mean, the S&P is usually up about 7 or 8% on average a year. So the fact that it was up like 20 or 25 or 30% last year, that probably means that 2022 is not going to be as good a year. When we sell option premium, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, we actually outperform the most and perform alpha and achieve alpha when the market is in a grind down market and it's down by about 5 or 10% a year. But so I do definitely understand that if you're going to sell premium, then you do want to achieve about probably 3 times what the average market is. So if the market is going to achieve like 7% a year, then I would say it would make sense for you to sell premium if you can make about 20 to 25% a year. Probably around 20% is fine. But for Tony to say that you're going to make 1% or 1.5% a month, that should be your target. That's not going to move the needle for anyone. And then it's not worth it because you could just simply go long SPY and then sell cover calls against it. But I definitely think that tastytrade has a problem because, like I said, I think my biggest problem with tastytrade is that they lose money on the calls and they also encourage you to sell strangles. And inherently, like from my experience and from speaking and from also having a lot of students, almost all those call options are going to end up getting challenged. I am extremely careful in selling call options and I only trade stocks that are extremely oversold. And even on positions such as like Tesla, like last week, Tesla hit a high close to like 1200 and you can sell like the 1600 call on Tesla that expires in 1 to 2 weeks. And at that time, you could collect about $5 to $6 for every contract that you sold. The problem is that if you were even slightly early on that Tesla call position, and then Tesla had gone up in incremental like $50 or $60, if you sold that position, that 1600 call strike on Tesla for $3, you would be showing about 100 to 150% loss before that position started showing you a profit and Tesla started to decrease in price. So I definitely think that you have to be careful when you sell call options. You only have to sell call options when a position is very oversold and that you're patient and disciplined. And but having perpetual call options on during a bull market is not something that I would recommend. And I think that just tastytrade, they don't optimize the amount of premium that they received upon entry. And in my opinion, making sure that you capture the greatest amount of premium and that you're extremely disciplined when you open new trades and that you optimize your premium capture rate, in my opinion, that is one of the hallmarks of successful and profitable traders. But I almost feel that tastytrade, they value mechanics too much. And by always relying on being quote unquote mechanical to take like the thought process out of trading, I feel that they indiscriminately trade options and they leave a lot of money on the table while also subjecting their followers to a significant amount of risk and also subjecting their followers to underperformance. And I think that Tony admits this by saying that they're only going to make about 1 to 1.5% a month, and then Tom walks that back and says, "Hey, you're going to make somewhere between like 1.5 and 3%," because Tom knows inherently that if you're targeting like, if you consider a good month to be 1 to 1.5% a month, then Tasty Trade is going to lose all of their viewers because no one wants to earn 12%. You can make more than that by simply being long SPY and selling cover calls against it. All right, let's listen to the remainder of this, what Tom and Tony said, and see if there are any more valuable information in the audio.
So what do you say was a good percentage return for 2021? Anything positive is a good return. Some people made 100%, some people made 50, some people made nothing, some people made 2%, some people lost money. I don't know. It's not the same thing as passively trading. Let's go next slide.
Tom basically said that anything positive would be a good return for 2020. I completely disagree. If the market is up 30% and you're up 1%, then you have significantly underperformed. Look, the reality is that you're watching this video, you listen to Tasty Trade because you want to outperform the market. You should be rewarded for the time, for your education. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I believe that many people who try to educate themselves and who try to invest in themselves and who trade using the Tasty Trade methodology, because they rely too much on being mechanical, they trade indiscriminately, they're not super disciplined or patient, and they also maintain short delta by selling call options. And when you combine a lot of these factors, and you also combine the fact that Tom frequently says that he usually has positions on like 90 different underlyings. I don't know how you can possibly keep track of 90 different underlyings in your account. That's just crazy. It's just completely overwhelming. So I believe that if you do follow the Tasty Trade methodology and you trade like Tom or trade like Tony, then I really do believe that you're kind of accepting mediocrity. I definitely believe that if you're going to trade like Tom and Tony, then you're resigning yourself and accepting mediocrity, because I don't even believe that you're going to outperform the market. David Jaffe with beststockstrategy.com. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can visit beststockstrategy.com, enter in your email address, and receive over $400 of valuable free content. Please leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on whether you believe that Tom and Tony, by trading their style, you're only going to make about 1 to 1.5 or 1.5 to 2% a month. And I appreciate your attention.